Welcome. My name is Tammy Flippen, and I'm the Funding Information Network Coordinator for the Springfield-Greene County Library District. Today, we're going to go over an introduction to the Foundation Directory Online, or FDO. So we'll get started here with our slides. The Foundation Directory Online is a very, very powerful database. It coordinates funders, recipients, grants. It also has detailed information on the funders, what they are giving to at any point in time, what grants they've given, a history of the recipients, and also even works with companies and organizations so we can look at corporate giving. That's really, really nice because it's updated daily, so you can get up to the minute information for when you're doing your searching for grants. The directory gets information from multiple resources. A lot of it does come from the 990 tax form, which is really beneficial and saves you from having to go through 100-page tax forms to get information out for your grant request. It gets it from annual reports. It goes through their websites and gets published guidelines, gets it from philanthropic newspapers and magazines, all sorts of information, 30 plus pieces of information. So this is a really, really powerful database. A lot of grant makers even electronically submit. See that insignia on their pages when you're looking at them. So you'll know that you're getting really, really current information for when you're doing your grant research. The first thing you need to do is identify your needs. So you need to ask 3 questions. Who are you serving? Are you looking at children? Are you looking at elderly? Are you looking at animal welfare? Whatever the topic of the organization or the focus of the organization is what you need to be searching for. Second, you need to look for where you're going to be doing the work. So you want to pick the geographic location that focuses on the area that the work will be done in. There'll be foundations and corporate foundations that are in other states, but they focus their giving on areas where they have factories and companies. Third, what are you doing for them? Are you going to build a building? Are you buying equipment? Are you starting a brand new program? All of that information will be put into your search as well. So those are the first 3 things that you need to know. So let's take a look at what the search box looks at. When you bring up Foundation Directory Online, you're going to see just a blank search box that says describe what you're trying to fund. So let's use a quick example in Atlanta, Georgia, and we were going to start an after-school program that taught children about nutrition and cooking. So we've just put in health, after-school program, low-income children, Atlanta, Georgia. So once you select search, it will go through and find terms that match what you've typed in. So you can see up there at the top where it says showing results for child welfare, out-of-school learning, health, and Atlanta, Georgia. And they have put those in the specific boxes down below. So you have control. If they've picked a subject that you don't like, just click the X beside it and it will disappear from the search query. You can also add things as well. Populations, add that to elementary or secondary, or you could put in low income individuals. So the population served can really help you tighten up your grant search to get more specific information. You can see they put the geographic focus in there as well. Their terminology down below that we'll talk about later on some different slides. So once we've done our search, we can scroll down and see what results we got. Everything will show up color-coded like this every time you do a search. So you'll be able to look at the information in many different ways. You're going to be able to look at a grant maker list, which is the foundations. You'll be able to see the grants that have been given out and the subject headings that they have fallen under, and then you will be able to see them by recipients as well. Is actually the 990 tax form. So if it does end up being a foundation that you're very interested in, then it would be beneficial to you to go through at least their latest 990 to be able to look at their information, how they're reporting it, and it'll also give you a quick history of what their grant giving and receiving has been throughout the years. So this is just the basic way that you can go in and do a search. So when you do a search, you're going to get back this list of profiles. And you're going to look at each profile and figure out, do I meet this funder's requirements? You may be excluded from the type of person that they give to because they don't search every single box. Otherwise, we would never get anywhere. So we want to be able to look and see, do they give to public schools or do they give to private schools? Do they only give to specific religions? All of those things, foundation profile. Is my mission or project's goal a priority for this funder? Missions stay pretty standard for foundations, but their projects change from year to year in their focus. So you want to look closely to see if this is something that they've still funded. So you want to look closely to see if this is something that they've still funded. Someone may have mentioned, oh, I got a grant from the ABC Foundation. It was great, but maybe they stopped working on those types of projects a couple years ago. So projects and goals and priorities change for the foundations. You'll also want to look at how big, and you need just $5,000. Looking at foundations that only give out $25,000 or more is not going to be a good fit. You want to try and match those things up so you get that mirror image match on priorities and goals as well as requirements that they have. Does this funder support organizations like mine? You're going to be able to see those grants and those recipients. If you're a public school and they've given to lots of public schools, then that's exactly what you want to see. But if you are looking for something educational and you only see higher ed, you know that they're going to focus on college and not elementary. So make sure and look and see what those parameters are. And do I know anybody associated with this funder? There are a lot of key pieces in the profile that will help you look and see if maybe one of your board members or somebody you've worked with in the past is associated with the foundation. So that can be very beneficial as well when you're going to apply for a new grant. So let's take a look at what a profile would look like. So we've opened up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation profile, and you can see first thing we've got a graphical overview of information. The very first box is what is being funded. So you're going to see what their priorities are and what their past grants have been categorized as. So we can see that health is extremely important. We can also see education is third. So those can be good for the type of grant that we were looking for. If we were looking for an after-school program that focused on health. The middle section where it's got the picture of the United States is showing what states have received funding that has been given there. So you can click on the United States, go to your state, and it will break it down into counties, and you can look and see what counties have received funding, when they got it, what information they have about the project. So it will tell you whether there's going to be a good matchup. So if you, in Missouri, when you're doing this research, you see a lot of Kansas City and St. Louis, but it will allow you to look and see if they've given in Southwest Missouri or Greene County. So that can be really helpful when you are looking at someone is a good grant opportunity. The third box is how big are the grants. So it divides them out by size of grant, so you can go through and look and see where their major giving is. You can see they give a lot of large grants. A lot of those overseas organizations such as Bill and Melinda Gates, they do give smaller grants, and those little short tabs on some of the less than 5,000 dollar ones, that's a lot of grants. So when somebody is as large a foundation as Bill and Melinda Gates, you'll be able to see that they give all across the board. So that's a beneficial way to break down initially whether a profile, a foundation, is going to be helpful to you. Over on the left-hand side of the page, there's a menu, and one of the most important pieces is applications RFPs. That would also show the giving limitations. You can see here that they give on a national basis, and they'll go on to what I call the no list, things that they don't do. So you may see here that specifically excludes regions, excludes specific types of religions. All kinds of information can be in here. But if you are excluded in the limitation box, then it's best just to close up the profile and move on to the next one, because they've changed anybody's mind about that. So up at the top of that list on the left-hand side, you can see grants. And we can see here that was the orange section of our initial search. And we can see the grants that have been given. So there's the recipient, where they're located, and also the primary subject. So you'll be able to look in this box to be able to see the different types. So we saw that health was a priority, and it's definitely showing up here looking at the beginning of this grant list. When you're looking at all the grants that they've given, they will be ranked by grant amount. So if you selected the orange grants section, you're going to be able to see what the biggest grants were given and the year they were given. And you'll be able to click on those recipients and see exactly when they applied and how they got the money and what they used it for. So this can be really good information if this profile of the foundation ends up being a good match for you. Who's Who is also in the menu on the left side of the page. This is what we were talking about earlier. Do you have a board member or staff person that knows somebody in the organization? This LinkedIn section is relatively new, but you can go through and see who has LinkedIn accounts and look to see if any of the people you know them. It's a great way to get an introduction. It's a great way to start following board members and foundations so that they can see your information and you can see theirs. This is new, and I think it's a really interesting concept to be able to go out and see what they're doing and what information they're sharing with everyone. So take a look at the Who's Who section to be. Under the About section, this is where you're going to get the general information. What is their purpose, their mission? What are their activities that they're focusing on right now? You can see that they've got a list here in their purpose and activities section, and they've also got the number 6 there by program areas. So a lot of detailed information is in this profile, and you'll be able to look in depth at the different programs to see if yours fits any of their priorities right now. So you'll always want that to be a really good match. And the other part of the application and RFP section will tell you what they want. Are they an electronic grant funder? Do they want it in paper? What are their guidelines? This is where they'll talk about whether they want a letter of inquiry, full entire grant proposal submitted. Most foundations right now look at letters of inquiry first before asking you to send a full proposal. So you'll see there on initial approach for the Gates Foundation, it talks about an online letter of inquiry not exceeding and what the other guidelines are on that initial approach. It'll also talk about the deadlines and additional information. So you'll be able to go through, by the time you've completed going through the profile, you'll have a pretty good idea whether this is going to be somebody that you would like to apply for a grant to, or someone that's going to be a stretch for what your project is going to be. Communications is another valuable piece of the profile. It'll tell you what social media they are involved on, and you can go through and see if you want to connect with them in any way on those. You want to connect with them in any way on those social media sites, or if you just want to go through and read and look at the background of what they've been doing. So that can be really good information. Up at the very top of the profile, you can save the computer. It will save as a PDF. You can also email it to yourself or to someone else, and you can also download it to Excel. So you'll be able to get that information however works best for you. So all of those tools are really handy tools to be able to get the profiles to the people who need to see them so that you can decide whether they're going to be good grant opportunities. There were some other ways to search. If you remember, we did just a general subject search at the very beginning. But if someone has mentioned an organization to you, you can go in and search specifically for the organization. If you look underneath that search tab where we circled, it says search by organization. You can click on that and start filling in Gates in the organization name, and it will start narrowing down the resources there underneath the purple bar. So you can look specifically for grant makers or recipients and be able to find the foundation that you're looking for very easily. If you need to search for a specific person, it does that as well. That search box is under the search bar as well, and it will allow you to type in someone's name and then narrow it down so you can see if they're sitting out there on a board or working with an organization. Keyword field. This is a tool in the advanced section, but it's very temperamental. It has to be, if whatever word you type in there, it's only going to look for that word. So you're going to get a lot of things that don't apply at all, or you're going to get nothing at all. So sometimes it can be useful if an organization that in there, but you never know if you're getting exactly that information. So if you're having a tough time coming up with anything on your regular search, sometimes I'll jump down to keyword and see if I can get anything to come up that way, then copy the subject headings out of it and do a better search for yourself. So just be careful with that box. You could end up with some not good information. Where can you get help with FDO? They have a lot of self-serve resources, so you can go on their page and look at their quick guide and help guides. They also have a lot of tutorial videos that are broken up into snippets, so you can go through and watch just what you need. You can also get person-to-person assistance from their library staff that they have at each one of their centers. You can also chat or email with the Candid staff. So Candid staff, you'll see that down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen when you're on their website, whether someone's available to chat with you live. So that information is easily accessible on their website. So here is my information. My name is Tammy Flippen, as I mentioned before. There's my email address. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I work for the Springfield Greene County Library District at the Library Center on South Campbell. So that is the only location that you can access this database. So if you need to come out and search it live after your class is over, or you've gotten a job, or you're doing some work, you can come out here and access it anytime. I don't have to be here, and it will. You'll be able to access those resources. I want to thank you guys for listening and watching the video. You can look at GrantSpace or at candid.org to be able to see additional information or get any tools. GrantSpace is very beneficial. It has lots of tutorials and sample documents, and I would encourage you to take a look at it as well during your grant research process. Again, thanks for attending, and I will hopefully hear from you soon.